Did you know that understanding human behavior can significantly improve your personal and professional life? Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature, explains why we act the way we do using interesting historical stories. I'm a big fan of Greene because he makes learning about human behavior super interesting. This book is about something that seems simple but tricky, which is understanding why humans act the way we do. In this video, I will break down all 18 laws of human nature and show you how they play out in real life with some key life examples. And hey, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we're all about bringing you awesome books that can change your life every single time. Alright, let's get into it. The first chapter is titled The Law of Irrationality. Chapter 1 talks about how you sometimes fool yourself without knowing it. It's like lying to yourself to feel better or avoid facing uncomfortable truths. So, to reach your full potential, you must understand how you sometimes act weirdly. Ask yourself why you feel certain urges that don't make sense. You can get better at thinking things through and making smarter choices. It's like giving your brain more room to think things through. The key lesson in this chapter is that we should understand the term self-deception. Knowing when you're fooling yourself is the first step to growing as a person and being true to yourself. The second chapter is titled The Law of Narcissism. According to Greene, we are all a bit narcissistic. He further states that even though we all care about ourselves a bit, it's okay as long as you're honest about it. The aim is to be a healthy narcissist by using our self-interest in a good way. Healthy narcissists work hard and care about others. They listen to feedback, learn from mistakes, and don't let failures stop them. The key lessons in this chapter is that we should be a healthy narcissist by using our self-interest in a good way. The third chapter is titled The Law of Role-Playing. People usually pretend to be someone they think others will like more. Greene further explains that we're all like actors, putting on a show and sometimes not being truthful. But you know, it's hard to keep up the act all the time because acting completely honest would cause problems. The key lesson in this chapter is that you must become good at reading people's body language and showing your best self while playing your role as effectively as possible. The fourth chapter is titled The Law of Compulsive Behavior. A person's character is the most important thing when choosing to work with them. It's more important than their charm, intelligence, or charisma. You can test someone's character by joking with them, criticizing them, or giving them a difficult task. Robert Greene states that our character is shaped by our genes and childhood. Understanding yourself helps you improve. The key lesson in this chapter is that you should take the behavior of people seriously. If you see someone act strangely, don't turn a blind eye because they are bound to repeat it. The fifth chapter is titled The Law of Covetousness. This law means people often want what they don't have. It's normal to desire things we feel are missing in our lives. For example, seeing someone with a cool gadget makes you want it too, or you might wish for someone's confidence. Robert Greene explains that instead of solely focusing on our desires, we should pay attention to what other people secretly wish for. The key lesson in this chapter is that paying attention to others and offering something unique helps you connect and influence them positively. The sixth chapter is titled The Law of Short-Sightedness. This law states that people often focus too much on the present and forget the future. Greene explains in this chapter that it's important to plan ahead, avoid distractions, and stick to your long-term goals instead of giving in to short-term temptations. The key lesson here is to stay focused on the big picture, avoid being carried away by every new trend, and prioritize actions that align with your long-term objectives. Chapter 7 is titled The Law of Defensiveness. In this chapter, Robert Greene explains that to influence people, you don't have to force them. Instead, step back, ask for their advice, and make them feel good. Avoid mentioning your past favors. It makes them feel dependent. Instead, remind them of their help to you. The key lesson in this chapter is that bringing up the favors you've done for someone in the past can backfire. It might make them feel like they owe you, which can create unnecessary hatred. Chapter 8 is titled The Law of Self-Sabotage. In this chapter, Greene states that the way we think and feel plays a big role in what happens in our lives. It's like saying, don't let where you come from or what people say limit you. Instead, think of yourself as someone who can grow and get better. Also, it's important to know that your thoughts and how you feel affect how your body works. So, if you think positively, you're more likely to feel good physically too. The key lesson in this chapter is that when you make self-care a priority, you're better prepared to deal with stress and stay positive. Chapter 9 is titled The Law of Repression. In this chapter, the author explains that everyone has a hidden side they might not want to show. Ignoring or hiding it can cause problems like feeling sad or anxious because you're not being yourself. Robert Greene suggests you embrace it, accept it as part of yourself, and even use it in positive ways to help you reach your goals. The key lesson here is that when you accept and include this hidden side of who you are, you will become a fuller person. Chapter 10 is titled The Law of Envy. In this chapter, Greene says that comparing yourself to others can make you feel bad. So, it's better to build confidence from within. Envy is tricky because it means wanting what someone else has, which makes us feel inferior. This can lead to feelings of anger or resentment that others might see instead of the envy we're feeling. The key lesson in this chapter is that it's okay to feel envious sometimes, but instead of resenting others for their achievements, try to be happy for them. Chapter 11 is titled The Law of Grandiosity. Picture this, you're great at video games. But then, in a new game, you get badly beaten by someone else. It surprises you because you thought you were unbeatable. What went wrong? You fell into a trap called grandiosity, believing you're better than you really are. Obviously, you ignored your mistakes or thought you won just because of your skills, forgetting about luck or teamwork. So, what can you learn from this? Don't get too comfortable. Always strive to improve, as this can help you strive in life. Chapter 12 is titled Law of Gender Rigidity. Here, Robert Greene explains that everyone has both masculine and feminine qualities within them, but sometimes we hide one part. If we hide them too much, they can come out in weird ways. This often happens when people have inner conflicts about their gender traits. Gender roles can create a big gap between men and women, making it hard for them to understand each other. So, the key lesson in this chapter is that it's healthy to accept and appreciate all aspects of ourselves, whether they're considered masculine or feminine. Chapter 13 is titled The Law of Aimlessness. Here, Greene encourages young people to try new things to discover what they love doing and what gives their life meaning. He says that the hardest part of chasing your dreams is dealing with tough times when things feel boring or painful. The key lesson in this chapter is that you need to keep going even when it's tough because challenges are part of the journey. Chapter 14 is titled The Law of Conformity. In this chapter, Robert Greene states that we enjoy being part of groups because it makes us feel good. Even if you think you're independent, others around you still influence you. Sometimes, you might think your group is better, but that's not true. It's crucial to understand and learn from everyone, not just your group. The key lesson in this chapter is that when you get to know yourself well and understand how being in groups affects you, you'll be really good at socializing. Chapter 15 is titled The Law of Fickleness. This chapter explains that being a leader is like walking a tightrope. People admire strong leaders, but they can also get mad at them for having power. Leaders often only see the good in people and think everyone approves of them. But when they make mistakes, they're surprised by all the anger. This anger is just people letting out bad feelings they've been holding on to. We like it when others make us feel good because we don't always see ourselves. We prefer to be around people who agree with us and make us feel good, but we don't like it when someone challenges how we see ourselves. The key lesson in this chapter is that to be a good leader, you need to understand that authority means being strong, fair, and supportive of others. Chapter 16 is titled The Law of Aggression. In this chapter, Greene states that although people may seem nice and well-behaved, they all have struggles and desires. Sometimes, when they feel like they're not getting what they want, they might try to control situations or manipulate others to get their way. Some people are even more aggressive about it, using intimidation and persistence to get what they want, even if it means doing things that are not very nice. The key lesson in this chapter is to be careful of people who try to control you. If you're naturally confident, use that confidence to face challenges and reach your goals. Chapter 17 is titled The Law of Generational Myopia. This law states that when you're born affects who you are. Each generation has its traits that shape us. You can't ignore your generation's influence. Greene advises not to fight or resist the trait of your generation, as it can cause issues. Instead, understand your traits and use them to reach your goals. The key lesson of this chapter is that understanding the traits of your generation can help you take advantage of the times you live in, helping you become more of the unique person you want to be. Chapter 18 is titled The Law of Death Denial. This chapter talks about how most people don't like to think about death and try to avoid it. But death is a part of life, whether we acknowledge it or not. Robert Greene, the author, states that instead of ignoring death, we should think about it. By facing the reality of death, we can better appreciate life and make the most of our time. When we accept the reality of death, it gives us a sense of urgency to pursue our goals and live with purpose. The key lesson in this chapter is that it's important to always remember that death is something we can't avoid. So we should focus on what's important and achieve our goals. You can find all 18 laws right here, all in one spot. I hope you've learned something new and valuable today. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more insightful books and content.